What's up, everybody? Before we start the show, we're going to do our podcast shout out. Now, we are shouting out the Black Girls Do Stuff podcast. These ladies talk about pop culture, they talk about movies, they talk about comic books, they talk about all sorts of interesting stuff, and they're very much casual just like us, which is totally a plus. Isn't that right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So check them out on Apple Podcast, check them out wherever you get your podcast, and yeah, give them a listen. And with that, on with the show. I'm Beau Maddox.
I'm Robert Ortegon. I'm Ashley Chancellor.
I'm Dakota Chancellor.
This is Collateral Cinema. Welcome to Collateral Cinema, the only movie podcast that matters, where we focus on good movies, bad movies, and everything else in between in the world of cinema. We're podcasting somewhere straight from San Antonio, Texas, and yes, my friends, we are a 420-friendly podcast. So whatever you have, be it dabs, be it blunts, be it bongs, be it joints, smoke it if you got it. And welcome to Season 3 of Collateral Cinema. What do y'all think, guys?
Season 3.
Season fucking 3.
I'm happy to be here.
He's the beginning of a new era. A
think
new era of collateral cinema.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to reach newer heights.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely. I mean, we're in a new studio. I mean, we don't really have that much of a new setup, but I mean, we're slowly working on it. And
It's a work in progress, right?
Yeah, it's totally a work in progress. And I mean, guys, what do you think? How are y'all doing? I mean,
I'm happy to be in a studio that's in my own house.
yeah, that's right.
Folks, we're recording straight from my house now. My newly bought house. So, you know, just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, you're going to be all stuck up with your home ownership.
Oh,
Hey, this house is paid off, bro.
Hey, that's always a good thing. That really is.
so is everything in my life, except my STD test.
Oh dear Lord. Already? Seriously?
Sorry.
We haven't even started the season.
I was kind of thinking, and then it just came out. I don't know what's wrong with me.
My God, man. My God. Well, anyhow, this episode is going to be very contentious. Isn't that right, guys?
So
Yeah.
it seems.
We are checking out... When did this come out? It was 2014, right?
Something like that. 2014.
2014, 2013. It's David Ayer's Suicide Squad.
There's only contention because Beau's a sheep.
Yo, you know
fuck you.
it's 2016, guys.
I'm
actually.
the sheep, but the three of y'all like this movie?
Yeah, dude, I like it.
Yeah,
Why-
That's the only reason there's contention. It's
Why
just
do you
Beau.
like this?
Okay,
Well,
I have a lot to say, and
have
we'll get to it later.
Plenty
But
of time to talk about it.
But I don't think this is necessarily a perfect movie. I mean, it's not even necessarily an objectively good movie, but I like it. I like it. We'll put it that way. And it was in 2016, actually.
2016, so it's not that long ago, really.
No, it's still fresh.
Nope.
Wow. I mean, yeah, the wounds inflicted on this movie are very much still there. Yeah, I agree. they resonate throughout the film industry to this day.
I mean, it was interesting. I think when it first came out, it had kind of more of a divided...
Yeah, it was interesting, like a car crash. I mean,
No, I think,
guess.
See, this is the effect that happens, and I talked about this during the It episode. At first, it had kind of a divided reception, and then over time, that slowly turned into like a negative reception. But I remember hearing some people did like this movie when it first came out. I'm not saying it's great, but I'm also saying it's not as bad as Batman versus Superman.
Oh, God.
Oh, that was Drek, man. I mean, let me tell
I
you.
like the Man of Steel better than that. Right?
Honestly.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I do want to make a point, okay?
Okay.
This might take a little bit, but in the world of cinema, you've got bad movies, okay? You've got like just objectively bad movies, all right?
Yeah.
We've got, and we under that, we've even have two categories. You know, you've got just bad movies that are just so bad, like Master of Disguise. and you've got movies that are so bad they're good, like The Room or, you know,
Manos
Sharknado.
Manos Hands of Fate.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah. Or no, actually, Sharknado or Freddy Got Fingered, those are movies that try to be so bad they're good. See, It's all in the presentation, okay? Here's what it is, all right?
Okay.
A movie is objectively bad if it fails, or anything is objectively bad if it fails at its purpose. A movie's purpose is to entertain. So we consider a movie bad if it fails to entertain in the way that it was meant to entertain. Some movies still come off as entertaining, like The Room, like Sharknado.
Yeah,
You know, like, what else have we done that was so bad it's good?
Oh, snap. I don't really remember. It's been such a long time.
I mean, The Room is unique because it tries to be a drama and it fails at it.
I remember House of the Dead
House of the Dead.
by Mr. Uwe Ball, who, by the way, follows us. Hello, Mr. Ball.
That's what I was going to say. The Room and House of the Dead, right?
Yeah.
They tried to be serious movies, but they just come up as straight up comedic. But they're still entertaining. They're just entertaining for different reasons.
Oh, yeah. I actually legitimately like House of the Dead now. I mean, especially after watching it so many times for the episode that we did. I mean, yeah, that was a movie that it didn't know what its tone was, but it still went for it.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you've got movies that try to go for being so bad that they're good. So technically they actually do achieve their purpose, like Freddy Got Fingered, like Sharknado, like Slumber Party Massacre, or anything Sam Raimi that kind of attempts to be campy. You've got movies that are just straight up bad. You know, like
Suicide Squad.
No.
Yeah.
This is where I'm This is where I'm going with this. Okay, you've even got on a very rare occasion movies that are just objectively good. Everybody loves them. I think Joker is one of those movies that's coming out right now that everybody's talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've got what makes up basically the bulk of cinema, just subjectively good or bad movies. It's really subjective opinion. And usually this happens when the movie achieves some of what it meant to do and it entertains in some ways, but maybe it doesn't succeed in all aspects, or maybe it only appeals to a certain audience.
So how does any of that apply to Suicide Squad? I mean, you admit that it's at its core just structurally unsound.
I would say it's subjectively bad. Like a movie like It, which we disagreed on that. That was kind of contentious.
Yeah.
That kind of, I mean, it could be subjectively good. A lot of people liked it. It's just, it wasn't as good as it could have been. Suicide Squad, I mean, I'll agree. It's subjectively bad. I mean, I think it suffered from some, and I think we're going to talk about this, some reshoots and some last minute editing, and the fact that the movie was edited by the team that made the trailer. And you can see that. You can see where the movie fails in certain aspects.
Yeah.
But it's still entertaining. So I can't call it objectively bad. It still succeeds at least being enjoyable.
See, that's the thing. It is objectively bad. When you really break this movie down to its core elements, everything fails. The editing, the direction, the direction of the acting, the cinematography, the color grading, the story itself. None of it adds up here.
Like I said,
some of
Beau's
that's
a sheep.
subjective opinion. Yeah. I mean, there's even some bright parts of the performances. I mean, you've got Margot Robbie and Will Smith who actually give good performances.
Yeah.
You've got some well-casted characters like Viola Davis as Amanda Waller.
But, I mean, what I'm getting at is, first starting off with the plot structure. I mean, this plot's pretty much just a straight-up exposition dump. Like, what, 2 or 3 times in this entire movie?
Yeah, we saw that with The Man of Steel. We saw that with Independence Day too, right? We see that with everything.
But this movie right here, they just run with it in a way that it's just like, I mean, it doesn't come together in any way. Like I mean, you're already getting a lot of information with these weird title cards that come up. You know what I'm talking about. They try to add some humorous little anecdote near the end or some such bullshit. And it's all like weird neon color, even though the rest of the movie is all grayish and greenish crap.
I like it. I thought it was interesting.
But it gives you this creepy tone that's also kind of campy at the same time.
But you want to know, if they would have just had those, that would have been fine. But then you go into that steak dinner that Viola Davis is having with the other two, or Amanda Waller, that's her character, are having with the two chief of staff.
Dude, Ben Affleck was in there for like a second.
Affleck was in there for like a second.
Just in the beginning. Right?
So was Ezra Miller.
Yeah, but anyway.
Well, he was at the end of the end credit scene too.
Anyway, that right there, they go into another exposition dump on all these characters, like, and she explains it to them, and then not even 2 or 3 scenes later, she's in another boardroom and she's giving another explanation of these characters. Why do we need to have all this information that quickly?
Well, okay.
And that condensed. It's incongruous.
It's almost like a
lot of
PC
it-
thing.
A lot is because it's like there's so many characters that they have to introduce, and the movie has so much time, so you want to spend the whole time introducing them.
Therein lies one of the problems. If you have that many characters, it's like, I mean, why even make a movie like this? I mean, if you're not even going to really be able to flesh the characters out like what Marvel did. You know, they did the smart thing. They had actual single movies with plots that actually was relevant to that character and relevant to the cinematic universe as well.
I disagree there, actually. And here's why, okay? They didn't do that with Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's
Guardians
true.
of the Galaxy built up its characters within the same movie. Now, the Avengers had its solo movies, and so did Justice League, if you remember. So this
Justice League.
basically was DC's version of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, that much is obvious.
Right.
I
It's
mean,
got the soundtrack. It's got basically your team of anti-heroes.
But what the thing right there is that Guardians of the Galaxy actually has a plot structure that actually moves forward in a way that's natural, that actually introduces the characters well enough.
Oh, it's a far superior movie.
It's a far superior movie.
And the humor in that is unbeatable.
They didn't need to needlessly explain who those characters were. Like
Right.
you pretty much knew from when they were in prison who they were.
Yeah.
You know?
There was enough exposition through dialogue.
Yeah.
This movie, it does a little bit of that, I think, with Harley Quinn and with Deadshot in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then they go through and they kind of do the title cards explaining who each of these characters are and their powers. And I don't have a big issue with that. And then you said the board meeting, they do it again, but that's really just the Enchantress. That was just her.
But she
Intro.
still explains who the rest of the Suicide Squad is, though. She explains it all over again.
I mean, the exposition is kind of obvious, but the title cards was kind of cool for me. I liked how they kind of switched and showed different characters' personalities by the way that the title cards came up, by the soundtrack.
Yeah. I'm not saying that they didn't do that aspect well. What I'm saying is that it's just too much information to dump so many times that honestly it just takes you out of the movie. It's just like, I mean, why are we doing this again? It's literally almost like 3 or 4 times that this happens throughout the movie before there's even any real action.
You know, it's odd though, because in a sense you almost feel like sometimes there's not enough of the characters. So I see what you mean. There's a lot of exposition, and then really all of the characters kind of fade to the background except for maybe Harley Quinn and Deadshot. You know,
Slipknot, literally, he gets murdered, and he was a background character the moment he was introduced.
yeah,
he
because
didn't even
get the title
he
card.
didn't get the fucking title card.
No, that was so funny. I think everyone noticed it too.
He was a red shirt.
He was a red
Oh
shirt.
man, it's
absolutely.
such an obvious red shirt. It's horrible.
Well, like you said before, everything was on the nose, and I will admit to that. Which I
Yeah.
don't find that to
It's
be an
not-
absolute
it
bad
is-
thing, though.
It is
Really.
not a subtle movie at all. There's no real subtlety to like for instance, it tells more than it shows.
Yeah, Deadpool wasn't subtle either.
Yeah, but it's still Deadpool was very much a unreliable narrator though.
That is true.
That's the trope that's
and
behind
again, I'm
that,
not
and
denying
that's-
that it's not a superior movie. It's way better.
Yeah, it's just
But-
remember that's coming from Wade Wilson's,
Oh yeah.
character from
Absolutely.
his point of view. And once again, I mean, he's able to explain who he is without having to just dump needless amounts of exposition on the audience. He doesn't need to do that.
Yeah, you can see with like some of the characters, some of the exposition did seem a little unnecessary, the ones that did get screen time. And then with others, it just kind of felt like, well, why did we spend this time having this exposition and then not even like having the
Yeah.
characters? I agree with you there.
Like case in point, Killer Croc. I mean, he barely gets any lines really. The lines he has are very simple. I mean, they're just like, I'm beautiful.
I
Or
couldn't
it's
really
like,
understand.
I like
to be
her.
honest.
I mean, you can't even recognize the actor through all that makeup.
Yeah.
Academy Award-winning special effects makeup, I might add. I don't know how the fuck that happened.
But I mean, through it all, it's an entertaining movie. I mean, I had fun watching it. I expected maybe to see it a little bit more critically now than when I originally saw it.
Yeah.
But even then, throughout the whole movie, and I watched it twice recently in preparation for the podcast, I felt like, I was still having a good
But
time. I
does
was still
the-
invested in the plot.
Does the actual plot make sense, though? Like, for instance, the first mission that the squad is sent on, they're sent to retrieve an unknown person in an office building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, first of all, I mean, the putties that come out.
Putties.
You know, or
Rita's
zombies.
Rita's putties.
They're pretty much zombies. You know, it's like, why are we doing zombies?
You're right. It doesn't make sense. But you know what? You know why I like it? It's a guilty pleasure.
Is this the real life?
Let me have you, Donald, please.
Let me have you, brother! Is this just fantasy? Come on! Caught in a landslide. No escape from reality.
I want to assemble a task force of the most dangerous people on the planet. They're bad guys. Worst of the worst.
Too late. Open the gate! My time has come. Send shivers down my spine.
Was this cheerleading trials?
All the time.
Hi, boys.
Goodbye, everybody.
Deadshot. Guy shoots people. He's a crocodile and he eats people. Burns people. You're possessed by a witch and she's just crazy.
What was that? I should kill everyone and escape? Sorry. It's the voices. I'm kidding. That's not what they really said.
This is the deal. You're going somewhere very bad.
Whoa!
To do something that'll get you killed.
Let's go save the world.
I can't wait to show you my toys.
Mamma mia, mamma mia. Mamma mia, let me go.
Let's do something fun.
For me, for me.
Seriously, what the hell's wrong with you people?
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
Nothing really matters to me.
I know
Help
that.
me out here,
I know
Dakota.
No,
that.
you're right. It really is. I mean, it's a guilty pleasure. It's fun to watch.
Oh, that's
because
all y'all
it's-
can say is that it's a guilty pleasure.
I'm not
though.
saying that it isn't all that I can say about it. I mean, we're not
Guilty
denying that.
pleasures.
We're not denying that at all. It does lack in some
but
ways,
like-
and I can see that as critically.
But like I said, that first mission that they do, I mean, they think that they're going in picking up an important character, and it turns out to be Amanda Waller herself. It's like, what?
And then she shoots a bunch of guys gangster.
It's like, for no reason.
That was a little odd.
That was weird.
It was kind of like I mean, I know she was kind of like morally gray and kind of,
Yeah, but that
like
was-
I didn't expect that she was like straight up like.
That was edgelord shit, though, as far as I'm concerned.
It was a little on the nose. I'll agree.
very, very unsubtle, very, very needlessly brutal, you know, and it kind of plays into how this movie just doesn't know what tone it wants to be. You know, it doesn't want to have that dark, serious tone that they built up during like Man vs. Steel and Batman v Superman, or do they want to take it in that Guardians of the Galaxy direction? It's two conflicting premises that are just kind of pulling in like a tug of war. You know,
I don't know. That's kind of what gives it character.
It does. It's like that evil but campy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it even qualifies as really campy though.
But my wife was a little confused by it because she was like, "This movie isn't for kids," and I guess she thought it was.
No, not at all. Oh goodness.
It's not. I mean, it's definitely geared towards I think an older audience.
If anything, it should have been R-rated.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the plot that was definitely a lot more adult that they cut out, especially regarding like the Joker, who's barely in this movie.
Yeah, and on that, everybody hates Jared Leto's Joker, but you know what?
We'll get into that here in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms right there.
okay, well, when you're talking about
Like-
this movie, what would you compare it in? Like, how would you compare it to like Sausage Party, for instance, when they had
Sausage Party.
Well, that movie, okay, it was a bad movie, not geared for kids, but it still had that campy feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's
not
still,
as bad. That was worse.
It still
don't get
had
me wrong.
at least had some coherent writing to it,
Right.
And you know, the
like Sausage Party.
screenplay at least made sense.
Never seen it.
I mean,
Me either.
It was meh. It was okay.
It was like an adult food fight, but done better, right?
Man, food fight is an adult food fight. What the fuck are you talking about?
Collateral Cinema isn't episode 1, guys.
Isn't that right, Robert? You were on that episode.
I was like, what the hell am I watching here, dude?
Yeah, this is not for kids.
I'm in the middle of a podcast. I don't know what that is. What is this
you
movie?
have to watch this movie. Like the animations are just they're just downright hilarious.
Weird,
and I don't know if they're I don't think they're trying to be. See,
like-
another
it's like
objectively bad movie.
Old PC
Oh, of
graphics
course.
or old PlayStation graphics, you know?
But so bad it's good because it's actually hilarious.
Now, going back to the plot of this movie, this plot, when you compare it to a movie that actually adheres to the regular 3-arc structure, you know, and adheres to it well, like I think Renegade Cut used Raiders of the Lost Ark as an example, and that's a very tight movie when it comes to its pacing and the actual way that the arcs go. But I mean, this movie just kind of goes into scene after scene after scene. Like nothing seems to follow from the last scene to me. It's almost like a huge non sequitur movie. What do y'all think?
I mean, I feel like one thing led to another.
I understand your confusion by the story. The story did throw me off a little bit. There were certain times when I wondered how they went from A to B. You know?
I mean, okay,
there were
I
some
see
weird
what you mean.
connections.
Yeah,
but
and
other than that, I understood the story. I really did because I didn't have that much trouble with it personally. You know, I knew what was going on. I knew each of the characters. I noticed the introduction of Slipknot was a little off. You know, that made no sense. But they introduced characters properly. I didn't have a problem with it. It was weird though that Enchantress is supposed to be part of the team, but then she ends up being the bad guy.
Yeah,
which is kinda weird.
that's a whole nother level of stupidity, though. It's like,
Yeah,
why would you have a character that omnipotent and
Well, why
that
would you
able
leave his
to-
brother in the cage? I mean,
Yeah,
why would you
see,
keep it like
exactly?
That's what I'm thinking.
That's how stupid this plot is.
Why do you have... See, now I'm playing devil's advocate. Now I'm actually railing on this. But, why do you have, like, basically Diablo,
Yeah.
El Diablo, and you've got... I mean, really, that's the only powerful person on that team. Everybody else is
Aztec
like
powers.
Yeah, that's honestly
a regular person. You've
Those
got
are
Harley
mine-
Quinn has no powers.
Mayan calendar powers.
You can maybe argue Killer Croc has power. He has like extra normal strength,
But he
you
is
know?
underutilized.
He's very underutilized. Like him and Diablo alone could probably have taken on the Incubus character.
Yeah.
I mean, Killer Croc was a cool character in the Arkham series.
Yeah.
The Batman Arkham games.
And there's some people that are kind of figuring that that's why he's in this movie. It's because of the Arkham games. A little bit.
You kind of wonder why he is there because I will admit he's underutilized. So yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense because it's like, why are some of these regular Joe Schmoes here? I mean, Harley Quinn. I mean, what's her power? She's just crazy.
Yeah.
But
Deadshot is like an original, Suicide Squad member. So is Harley
Deadshot
Quinn.
is almost superhumanly good.
Well, they show that. I mean, him and Diablo could probably take out all of them. You know what I mean?
He kind of makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
And then you've got Captain Boomerang. He throws boomerangs.
Yeah.
The
what's point of that?
DCCW version is way better.
I mean, he kind of basically, even like the tech version of his boomerang, the one with the camera. I mean, that Batman does that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's the greatest detective
There you go.
in the world.
Seriously.
And he's got a master at martial arts. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, do y'all think that this script could have benefited from a little more rewriting?
Oh
maybe?
yeah, or
Like-
maybe it went through too many rewrites because from what I heard, there were so many reshoots, and eventually, we mentioned earlier, the team that was behind the trailers who eventually edited it together the movie, and that comes across sometimes. This movie definitely could have been better.
Oh, very much so. We're going to touch on that here in a little bit. But I mean, what I'm getting at is what would you have done differently on the screenplay itself, which is a little different from the script. The script is actually your dialogue and what moves the events forward plot-wise. Like, your screenplay is what actually happens on the screen. There's a lot to be desired with the screenplay here.
I mean, I'll honestly spend more time with the characters. Some of them could have been left out and introduced in a sequel. I would have focused it more on like a core team of characters, maybe just 5 or 6, and have almost equal screen time with them. You can have your leads, Harley Quinn and Deadshot, but you want to make sure that you have them always interacting with a different member on screen at a time. Like, let's take Guardians of the Galaxy, for example. I mean, obviously, Chris Pratt as Star-Lord is the lead, and Zoe Saldana as Gamora, I mean, pretty much seems right behind. And yet, you get just as much on-screen time with Rocket Raccoon and with Groot and with Drax.
Yeah, and that develops their characters.
Each one of them
perfectly
feels special in the movie, and they all interact with each other.
Yeah.
So I feel like this movie could have benefited a little bit more from giving each character their own screen time. We can have less characters thrown in there. Of course, that being said, you have movies like Infinity War and Endgame that managed to give just enough character every screen time. But again, like you said, those characters were built up in solo movies.
Yeah, over a period of like 15 fucking years.
Right. So it's hard to say, but I definitely think this movie could have gone the route of introducing and building these characters up in this movie. But spending more time with each of them and having them interact with each other more and having some more chemistry on screen so that at the end when they say, like, we're a family, it doesn't feel forced.
Yeah. And actually have the characters like actually show their arcs. Don't tell them, don't use exposition to tell us who these people are.
But that being said, I like the characters. I like some of the casting choices. I do think in the end they managed to get some good chemistry together, and I like the vibes. I like the feeling, and I think maybe I sympathize a lot with this movie because I like what it could have been.
Yeah.
Right. Well, James Gunn.
Oh,
he's going to give us what it could be.
That's going to be really exciting. We're going to talk about that near the end of the podcast.
Part two?
Yeah, part 2.
Jeez.
Except it's basically more of a soft reboot instead of a part 2, although it's in the same continuity.
Okay.
I mean, it's got the same characters, and it takes place in the same continuity, but in terms of the way the story's going, it's more of like a soft reboot.
Basically,
in that
redid the whole thing again.
Yeah.
It's not... I mean, everything that happened in Suicide Squad is still canon, to my understanding, and all the other DCEU films, but essentially this is going to be focusing on a whole new team.
Yeah.
Some of the cast members are coming back, but the rest are new, and it'll be a whole new story that's probably unconnected.
Ooh,
okay.
And that's where the DCEU is kind of shining right now. If you'll notice, in post-Suicide Squad, this seems to happen more and more. Actually, during Suicide Squad is kind of the start of this, where they stopped trying to copy Marvel and interconnect everything. I mean, it does happen again in Justice League, which they'd already built up. But after that, I mean, look at Wonder Woman. That's a movie that stands on its own. Aquaman, Shazam.
Shazam was good. I just watched it the other day.
I still haven't seen.
That was a good movie.
I haven't seen Shazam or Aquaman. I heard that Aquaman is a true campy classic kind of.
It's campy and it's good actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little cheesy, but I enjoyed it. And Shazam, I've seen part of, and I've heard that it's really good.
I would hope that those movies are better than Justice League, because let me tell you, I initially was okay with that movie when I first saw it, but every time I rewatch anything from it, a clip, the trailer, like the movie itself, it always looks worse to me.
It's campy and good. I like it.
It just looks worse, and I just tend to not like the characters as much.
See, I haven't seen it yet, so I wouldn't know.
You know?
See, the DCEU has I mean, it's kind of almost been a failure because it definitely didn't succeed at what it... Well, some of the movies have been successful. Some of the standalone movies,
Yeah.
And we're starting to see that finally. It's just a shame that, we're already dropping off Ben Affleck and probably Ezra Miller, so I don't know where they're going.
Ben Affleck shows up in this movie very briefly with him capturing Deadshot. And, man, I can't help but think that Ben Affleck just always looked very bored with this character. With being Batman, there's many times, even especially in Justice League, where it's just like it doesn't feel like he really wants to be there. I didn't feel any passion to him.
I mean, he just shows up for a few seconds, so
yeah.
I mean, I can't really tell, but it was a fun little nod. I think a little bit of nice continuity going on. They reference Superman dying in Batman versus Superman,
but doesn't all that kind of feel a little forced here?
A little bit. I agree.
Like, I mean,
the DCEU has. I mean, it's really lukewarm for me. I liked Man of Steel. Batman versus Superman was stupid. I mean, it failed. I've heard that the director's cut is actually better.
Well, yeah, that's what they say about this movie, and I heard it's pretty much just like, ugh.
I haven't seen the director's cut.
So let's go on to the actual casting and the characters here. Do y'all feel that the people who were cast here really fit their characters well enough? Did you think that they really kind of captured the essences of everything? What do you think, Dakota?
I think so. Deadshot, Harley Quinn. I mean, those are two characters we talked about.
Yeah,
those are some of the best characters in the movie.
Yeah, Margot Robbie and Will Smith, they are definitely the better parts of this movie.
I like Joel Kinnaman's character. I like where he was going with that. I liked his character.
That was Flag, right?
Yeah, Flag.
I got you. Okay.
He's another one of those characters that's on the team. It's kind of like, why is he here? What does he have to contribute? They have to save his ass.
Took the lead, and he's got everybody's.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy came out of The Following. Or
Robert,
something.
they got Scott Eastwood in this movie, right?
Killing Netflix. Yeah, they got Scott Eastwood for.
Oh, that's terrible.
They didn't give him enough credit.
Not at all.
Enough lines.
They should have made him a little more upfront.
He's probably just got a page of lines. That's probably it.
Seriously, he's a legitimately good actor.
Yeah, he's very good.
There's legitimately good actors here all across the board.
Yeah, I want to say a lot of the
didn't get enough screen time or enough credit at all.
A lot of the casting choices are good. They just were underutilized, or they didn't work with the script as well.
Or maybe in the case of like Amanda Waller, overutilized a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, of course, Joker. Jared Leto.
Okay, he's not horrible. I think his interpretation of the Joker is interesting. I like the scene where he he gets on the guy's lap, and like it's kind of got a little bit of that homoerotic quality that I feel like is kind of in line with the Joker's personality.
Yeah, he does kind of have that feel, especially with his relationship with Batman himself.
Lester, hit me one more time. Come on, man. You got to call upstairs and tell them to float me their 10K. You got it. Oh.
Boss wants to see you.
You know who I am? Oh. Good job, man. She's killing it. Come on, man. Why am I here, all right? Yeah, I'm down. I get it, all right? I've had a run of bad decks. Not my fault, all right?
Dude, this is real. I had to stop these guys from burning down your house with your kids in it.
But you're lucky. Yeah, maybe. Why do you think so? Yo, Slick. What's up? Griggs, you are?
You might want to keep your mouth shut.
Can I go, man? What's going on, man? This is crazy.
Blah, 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 blah. All of that chit-chat's gonna get you hurt.
Oh, my God.
I could tell you meant that.
Yeah.
You're gonna be my friend.
He's a little intimidating in that scene too, where he puts his arms on the chest, on the shoulders. And,
all this chit-chat's gonna get you hurt.
And he's just a little bit unhinged. I actually appreciate it. I think Jared Leto put his all into the performance. I think he wasn't given as much to work with. And again, he's barely in the movie.
Honestly, that's something that kind of colors my perception of his whole interpretation of the Joker, is that we just don't see enough of it to really fit the context of the movie.
I will say they kind of over-romanticize his relationship with Harley Quinn.
That's very disturbing to me, because if you actually know anything about the actual comics or anything, or like going all the way back to the cartoon, which is where
series.
the animated series, which is where she actually originated from, it was always a very creepy and abusive relationship.
Well, supposedly, it originally was like, I think he in the original version of the script, I think he like tries to let Harley die in the helicopter or something. Like he pushes her out for a different reason and like tries to kill her.
Yeah.
And that got changed last minute. And it's kind of unfortunate, because now you've got this whole group of people that think they want a relationship like Joker and Harley. And it's like, no, you don't. They're not a good example.
Man, the fucking cringy memes you see on fucking, especially Facebook or Instagram.
I mean, if they could
Dear God.
combine the aspect of him like having this like attachment to her with being like abusive and bad for her, I think that could have been cool. But in the comics and in the, originally in the cartoons, because Harley Quinn is originally a cartoon character, actually, he's kind of one-sided. He uses her,
Fully.
What made them decide not to use the original black and red? Why do they stick with pink and blue for their
sex appeal?
Yeah, sex appeal.
That's what I figured.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
that's
come on
her original colors are black, white, and red.
She does also have a uniform that's kind of similar to that in the comics. I've seen it before. Yeah.
Well, also it adds to that neon feel again.
That forced neon feel, which, I mean, that's a whole nother thing that we're going to talk about here in a little bit, but go on.
The way she looks actually is kind of like the way she appears in the Batman Arkham games.
Oh, I see.
And that being said, they do show her in her original costume, and she pulls it out for a second too.
See, I almost want to say, why don't they just make a movie based on the Arkham games?
Honestly?
Why not make a movie like that? I mean, they could have gone all horror with it, just like the games did.
I mean, yeah, that could have been really great because just like how the Spider-Man PS4 game was pretty much like the best Spider-Man movie, in my opinion. Like, cinematically, even though it's not a movie, Batman Arkham kind of achieves that as a game series as well. It definitely portrays Batman, I think, the way he's supposed to be, and all these other characters, and several of the characters that appear in this film, like Deadshot, like Harley Quinn, like Killer Croc.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's definitely a future episode of Collateral Gaming. I think I'd rather do an episode on all of the Arkham games,
all three
each.
Nice.
The three main ones, yeah.
Now, how do you guys think the actual direction by David Ayers influenced the overall acting in this movie? Like, do you think that it bogged it down a little bit? Because that's what I kind of feel like. A lot of this was kind of directorial in how every character kind of comes across to the audience and everything, Like, what do y'all think?
Mostly just the dialogue was kind of not there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the dialogue was a big part of that, and the director's job is to make sure that everything kind of congeals like that.
It's like he was just directing the scenery, walking through it mostly.
Yeah, that's what it kind of felt
not enough
like.
Dialogue, really.
And the dialogue that was there was just
shit. It was just a little shitty. I mean,
that's a killer app.
That was pretty bad. But then some of the dialogue is a little charming. I mean, like I said, by the end, it felt a little forced. I mean, the characters do kind of have some on-screen chemistry that works.
So you telling me that we're some kind of Suicide Squad?
Yeah, but that was kind of necessary.
There's a rule on this podcast that any time a movie quotes its own title, a litter of kittens are born.
Oh my god!
Oh, man.
So just right now, litter of kittens, totally born.
Lady, that's gangster.
Hell yeah, man.
I mean, yeah, there's some good parts to this. There are some cringy parts. I think it's part of the experience.
What do you think are the cringiest parts of especially like acting wise, as far as the characters?
Killer app.
Oh yeah.
There was something else that was like he was like Deadshot's like you are evil, and that kind of felt like he kind of didn't know what to say and he ad-libbed. Of course, Will Smith is a good actor. I will say that. But I mean, what else? There was some other stuff that just kind of came across. I mean, I'm Beautiful kind of was out of nowhere. It was a little weird.
Croc's lines were all a little odd.
I couldn't understand him, to be honest with you.
Really? Well, I understood what he was saying.
His voice was so hard to understand.
Really? I understood what he was saying. It's just that it was odd. It was a really odd way of doing it. They should have made it a little more clear. They should have made him, I don't know, it was an odd way.
I think his prosthetics are a little overdone, and that kind of hampers his performance a bit. Like, especially in how he's able to deliver his lines, because I'm sure that it was probably very difficult to talk in that fucking getup.
I mean, probably right.
They could have just gone with CG. I mean, that worked for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Or all they had to do is just voice over.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I can appreciate some practical effects, man. And I can kind of appreciate that they went that way with Killer Croc. But, I mean, I just feel like it's a little bit overdone. They could have scaled back the facial features a lot. Like, he was very scaly and very covered with horns and shit. It's like...
That's the way he's supposed to be, I think.
I remember his design, especially in the animated series, as being very streamlined, He's definitely humanoid, but you definitely see the crocodilian features as well.
I mean, they could have scaled it down a little bit. Scaled.
Oh, hell no.
They could have scaled it down a little bit. I mean, if they wanted to ground this movie a little bit more, I mean, that kind of might have worked too.
Yeah, maybe.
But, I mean, some of the actors work.
Who do you think was... maybe miscast in this movie?
Miscast. I mean, Dakota said you don't really like the Captain Boomerang performance, right?
Jack Courtney's, I didn't like that. I mean, I like Jack Courtney as an actor. I don't want to diss him, but I didn't like his character and the portrayal. I think it was just the whole demeanor of the character.
It's a very odd way that they kind of presented his character. Like, for instance, that whole thing with the pink unicorn.
Yeah, that was weird. See, I've watched a lot of... I pretty much completed what is out right now of the DCCW series, the television series, and I believe it's superior than Suicide Squad than the DCEU.
They have a portrayal of Suicide Squad in that
and
universe,
they do,
right?
And Deadshot is in it, and I really do love the Floyd Lawton in that one, but I also like Will Smith. I think they're both pretty good characters, but I think DCCW's performance is really good. It fit more like Deadshot.
Who's supposed to play Deadshot in the next movie?
No one.
No.
Originally, Idris Elba was cast as Deadshot.
Yeah.
But now they're going to cast him as a different character.
And they're just going to let Deadshot kind of fall by the wayside?
Well, it allows Will Smith to come back if he wants to.
Oh, okay.
That's why. That's why James Gunn is going with that decision. And it's pretty clear. Will Smith is a little hard to get a hold of now.
Yeah.
He's doing Gemini. Just got done with making them.
Yeah, Gemini Man.
Of course,
Looks like an interesting movie, I guess.
He did kind of step his career down a little bit when he did YouTube Rewind.
He did YouTube Rewind, really?
And it was bad.
He was the only decent part of it, but it's still, it brings him down a little bit, doesn't it?
But, I mean, it feels like all he was doing was just playing Will Smith the entire time.
Yeah, he's playing Bad Boys 1 and 2 all over again. Right?
Yeah,
I love that.
It feels like he's kind of stuck in a loop there.
Love that.
I mean, that's an example of an actor, I think, who I don't even think he was really invested in the performance, but he's such a good actor that he still works.
Right, yeah.
Margot Robbie, though. Margot Robbie really, actually, I mean, I think she's in it. You know what I mean? She's into the performance, and she shines when she does it.
She will be back for the next Suicide Squad movie, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's also in her own standalone movie, Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey. That's just coming out very soon.
I'm actually very excited for that because that might actually have the tone that they were looking for in this movie that, you know, it might actually strike the right notes in that respect.
And she's broken up with the Joker in this movie.
Yeah.
So
who's directing that movie?
Oh, shit. I'm not really sure.
I might have to Google that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely anticipating the Birds of Prey movie and the next Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad.
It's just, I mean, David Ayers, to me, I mean, he's good at, like, police procedural type stories. You know, he's good. He did Training Day. Like, he did...
that was good.
Yeah.
It's a chick.
Ethan Hawke.
Oh, it's...
Kathy Yan.
Who is it?
Kathy Yan.
Kathy Yan. All right.
That's appropriate because it's an all female lead.
Yeah, that's totally appropriate, and I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a really interesting place to take the character, I think, next, kind of letting her shine and be independent.
The writer's a female, too.
Oh, really?
So we're kind of going like Slumber Party Massacre now.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, it's kind of Slumber Party Massacre style.
Great movies.
That's awesome. Fucking A.
Female's perspective for once, right?
Robert, who do you think may have been kind of miscast, and who would you have recast here?
I don't want to crap all over Jared Leto's character or his performance, really, but
yeah, well, like I said,
I think he was trying to outdo Heath Ledger, really, mostly.
He didn't do that.
No, not by a long shot.
I mean, he didn't. He wasn't in there long enough, so
yeah.
But
yeah,
Cesar Romero, or I don't know. What do you think, Jack Nicholson's Joker too?
Do you think that his portrayal of the Joker was probably closer to the Romero Nicholson style more than the?
I think he tried to do. I think he tried to do his own thing. Really,
he definitely doing his own thing. I was going to say that too. Yeah. He's going to get that gangster feel, and that's kind of a cool place to see the Joker go. I mean, I'd like to see a successful performance.
He's
pull
more
that off.
Yeah, he's more of a thug, really. Yeah.
I mean, kind of this gangster crime lord. I mean, that's a cool aspect. It's a very modern Joker, and I feel like in a different, if that had been done. If it had been executed better, I think it would have been well received.
Yeah, like if he doesn't have to sit there and clap his hands, go, "I'm an idea." It's like, that's cringe, man.
What about the scene where he's laying on the floor with all the knives circled around him?
No, that's total cringe. It's like, who fucking does that? Yeah. Even within the context of a movie like this.
And do you think that?
It's like, come on now.
Narcissism. I don't know.
That's it just makes you realize how great Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker was, because he didn't need all that ostentatious shit.
You're absolutely right. No. Heath Ledger was fantastic.
His portrayal, it was all performance. It was the most performative version of the character that there ever was.
That we haven't seen since Tim Burton's Batman.
Yeah.
Really. That was kind of more of an anarchist Joker. And I want to say that from what I've heard, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker kind of almost follows in those footsteps.
I'm really looking forward to checking out Joker. Like, I mean, I think we might even do an At the Theater episode on it.
I think we ought to. Michael Cornwell, who was going to be on this episode, messaged me and said that we really should do it. He said he watched the movie and he really liked it.
Well, he needs to be on that episode then.
Yeah, he definitely needs to be on that episode. Michael.
I think we should get him on. Hey, Michael, if you're listening, bro. I mean,
Michael.
We just messaged today. And you bailed on us, so
I'm hurt. I'm really hurt.
Yeah, we're hurt.
You hurt our feelings.
Happy birthday,
we're very, very happy birthday, dude. But we're very, very distressed.
Very disappointed in you.
I mean, Dakota is beside himself. He's livid.
Absolutely beside myself.
Look, I mean, yeah. Listen,
especially after that last time when I joined them in the Country Club podcast. That's terrible.
Oh, that was terrible. Really?
Yeah, they're making fun of me.
Oh, come on. That's just how that podcast goes.
I mean, how many times during that whole session did you pull out your phone and take a Snapchat?
0.
You probably should have Snapchatted the hell out of it. It would have been funny.
You know what Dakota is? Dakota's our resident fuckboy.
He is a total fuckboy. He is Jared Leto's the Joker. He is
a resident fuckboy. Okay.
Because that's pretty much what Jared Leto's version of this is. He's a fuckboy Joker.
No, he's not a fuckboy.
He is fuckboy Joker.
He's got his one girl, so that's kind of anti-fuckboy. And that's what's weird, is that he actually is sentimentally attached to Harley. Again, that could have worked. It could have been a good element if it also showed him just being like abusive, and you have like this kind of conflict where it's kind of like, well, yeah, he actually is attached to her and he's like obsessed with her, but like he treats her like shit. So he doesn't really love her. He's just, and that may have been what they were going for, but they didn't actually show him like being abusive. And I feel like that's kind of what the character needed.
It still feels like a very one-sided relationship, though.
I think they tried too hard to make the whole thing sympathetic.
Yeah.
And we should be sympathetic for Harley. I think that works.
We're going live with Task Force X. Pull them.
Hey, I'm cooperating, all right? This is me being cool.
Take her. Do not fire that goddamn weapon!
Open the gate! Everybody line up for extraction! Let's go! Move, prepare!
Yeah. Open the door. Let's go.
Hit him! Hurry up before he smokes us. Where you at? Is that the new guy?
What is that? What is that? Who are you?
Stand by. Arming device.
I don't know who you are.
Place on.
Hey, I'm talking to you. Hey, I'm talking to you.
Injection successful.
Location verified.
Anybody who touches me is dead. Anybody who lady. Hey. Hi, miss.
Location verified. Next.
Are you deaf? You one of them deaf hoes?
Oh, come on.
Shut up and get it done.
Listen, you're being transferred. I don't know where you're going. It's from Mr. J. You gonna tell him I took care of you?
You're so screwed.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Get off. Get off. Harley, what do you mean by that? Harley!
You know, but I don't think the Joker should be sympathetic.
I think she felt like she was, I don't know, it looked more Stockholm syndrome with her. You know?
That's the whole idea.
Like she was his captor.
That's the whole idea with Harley Quinn, is that
pretty cool.
She's, and it's usually one-sided. She's in love with the Joker. He uses
kind
her.
of like, she was a doctor. I fell in love with her patient, so it does happen. Very Stockholmy.
Yeah, and the way they depict that is really wonky to me. Like how Joker and Harley Quinn's relationship actually develops.
Well, how eventually she jumps into the acid for him.
They could have spent more time with exposition on that, actually.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Kind of showing.
Yeah. Let's have more exposition in the movie that's just almost 30 minutes of exposition dump. Yeah,
I just want to say,
that.
if they had focused more on, like, I guess, transforming over time, but as soon as we see them, she's head over heels with him.
Yeah.
I mean, even look at like the Batman Arkham Asylum, okay? This game was able to build that up just using the Joker-Harley relationship and how it slowly transformed.
Yeah.
They were able to build that up using just like audio tapes in the background. And you were able to pick those up. And I know that's an element you can't really have in a movie, but you could pick up those and you could kind of get this sense. It could be done quickly enough where you could show with each visit, like, at first, you know, she was sympathetic and like she's intrigued by him, but like, you know, she still has her bearings straight. But then over time, you know, he's got her, and then eventually he asks, you know, I want a machine gun.
Well, right. It was a little out of order, it seemed. I guess I see what you're saying with that. You know, it was out of order. You weren't sure at what point she decided that she was head over heels for him, you know.
Yeah, it was way too inconsistent.
Well, she immediately was. We never got to see that transformation.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, is she just bad at her job? Was she crazy from the beginning? You're left with a lot of questions. So that could have been done better. But again, what is there I like? I don't like the way that they're overly romanticized, but I think that could have been tempered if they had just shown a little bit more of like the abusive nature of the relationship.
Well, that kind of takes me into the next segment here, which is really about just how ugly the movie looks and how ugly the tone of the movie actually is. And going on what you were saying, a big part of that is there's a lot of real hardcore violence against women and straight up sexism even. I mean, Harley Quinn is punched. Slipknot punches that one cop. There's everything that happens with Enchantress. I mean, it's very, very negative towards women. Like even the way that Amanda Waller is portrayed, it's just kind of just kind of ucky.
Isn't that what happens, in real life?
But I mean, this is supposed to be a comic book movie. Do we need it to be that close to real life? I mean, we already had the closest thing to that with the Nolan trilogy. I mean, and they were trying to do that already with Batman v Superman and Man vs. Steel. Like, this was supposed to be the movie that was kind of supposed to move away from that. But
yeah,
it didn't. It failed on that, and the tone suffers as a result.
It's kind of stuck in the middle. But like I said, I think it gives it character. And when you talk about, even like the color grading and stuff, cinematically, or cinematographically, I should say. Cinematographically.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, I like it. I think this movie definitely has its own character. I think it...
But with the sexism towards women and all the violence?
We don't like that. But
yeah,
I mean, that was a little unnecessary. I agree. If they were kind of going for a mix between gritty and comical, that part definitely could have been left out, I think, as far as gritty goes. But
just even the attempts at humor throughout is just kind of ugly in its own right. Like for instance, that one prison guard that supposedly tortures all these motherfuckers, but is also in on the Joker's take or something.
Yeah, that was really funny. Well, he ends up getting bribed.
Yeah, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, though. It's like, I mean, he's not
blackmail.
He's not that high up on the prison hierarchy to be able to have any influence, is he? I mean,
they didn't really play that whole him saving her out of prison thing, because that was just like a sideline thing. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, well, there's that one scene, and it's all in that very weird neon purplish tone where he's force feeding Harley Quinn. It's like, didn't anybody kind of feel a little grossed out by that?
It looked like a bunch of birthday cakes,
frosting. It was that weird shake that they were.
It's like Martyrs, right?
I don't think that it's anywhere close to Martyrs, dude. That movie had a point to it. That movie had a fucking point. This movie doesn't have a point.
You don't have a point.
Oh, whatever. But anyway, I mean, the actual humorous bent that takes, it's just very, very incongruous to me, and it just further darkens the tone. It doesn't add any levity to anything. It's punching down. And that's the problem with the humor in this movie. It's a complete, total punching down on everybody. Punching down on the characters, punching down on women, punching down on this and that. That's what it feels like. Punching down on the audience, even.
I didn't really notice that as much. I mean, I kind of feel like you're reading a lot into this, because I even like the violence against women. It didn't stand out to me. I hadn't even really noticed that.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you look at it absolutely objectively, I mean, it's there. It's an undercurrent, and you're just like, it's like it doesn't make anybody look that redeemable. And there's some elements of redeemability to some of these characters, like especially with Harley and Deadshot. But even Deadshot at one point stretches was like, I don't care if you're a girl, I will hit you.
Yeah. I mean, that was the point of the scene. I mean, that was important to know.
But still, that's still part of that ugly tone that I'm talking about, And especially the whole mismatch between the color grading, like it tries to be neon colored, and then it's all this weird grayish, greenish, brownish hue, like it's a war movie or something. That really doesn't help anything to me.
Well, it's also Gotham too. I mean, think about it that way.
Yeah, but they don't even really portray Gotham that well, honestly.
Honestly, this movie should have taken place in Gotham.
It should have taken place in Gotham. Yeah, I mean,
that's where it should have taken place, because then that feel would have been a lot better.
I mean, isn't the correctional place that they're at, the prison, isn't that in Louisiana or something?
Yeah, it's somewhere in Louisiana. I think that's what they said, like a swampy area.
I mean, they introduced it at the very beginning. There was a house.
Oh, God, that's another thing, is just how the actual score is used. It feels like this was literally just things taken off of someone's playlist or something. This is another example of playlist scoring.
But I like the soundtrack. I like the songs that were picked. I mean, you've got Panic at the Disco's version of Bohemian Rhapsody, and I like it almost as much as I like the original Queen version. If there's any singer that can get close to Freddie Mercury's voice, it's Brendan Urie.
Is it used well enough in the movie?
I don't care. It's there.
but I mean, it's intrinsic to the actual structure of the movie.
Dude, I was
everything
listening to the movie soundtrack for weeks after the movie came out, bro. Like I was like embedded in it.
Yeah,
21 Pilots.
If you actually go on Pandora and
I did that with Baby Driver
or iHeartRadio for a little bit, you're bound to listen to most all that shit.
Don't get me wrong, I did the same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy came out. I had downloaded the album and put the whole thing.
Hey,
yeah,
but it's like Symphony for the Devil to introduce Amanda Waller. House of the Rising Sun to introduce Deadshot. I mean, it's all so on the nose, and there's even times where it just takes away from the movie for me. Like that one scene where Harley is in the elevator, and she's like looking at herself and prettying herself up, and then that one zombie putty dude comes in. It's like, I mean, the song that's played in the background, it doesn't make it seem like a tense situation. It doesn't make it seem humorous at all. It just is. And that's the worst thing you can do with a score is, place it in the background of the movie to where it doesn't affect anything, but it doesn't take away anything. It's just there. That's what it feels like. It feels like the score in this movie is there.
Yeah, but that was a kick-ass car, right, Robert?
Oh yeah.
That's all Robert wanted to talk about. He wanted to talk about Joker's car. All right,
No,
Robert.
it's okay. You can keep talking. I know you like to hear yourself.
No. Go ahead and talk about the car, Robert.
So
what's up with that car?
What do you want to know about the car?
Everything.
It's got 4 wheels and a motor.
It's got 4 wheels. It's got a motor. It looks like the Joker. Okay, there we go. that works for me.
No. This is Robert's time to shine. This is Robert's section where he talks about the cars.
This is all you guys.
What?
Come on, bro.
Come on, man. You're the resident car expert.
What do you want to know about it?
What's its overall speed? What kind of motor does it have? Like, what's under the hood, man? Like, I mean, what makes that car unique?
Infiniti G35 body.
Right on.
Which is like the American version of the Nissan Skyline, right? Anyway, that kit car you can buy for like $30,000, and it looks like $200,000. That's one of your supercars you can get for $30,000, and cut the roof off an Infiniti, throw it over, then you got your supercar.
What are the features that you can usually kind of upgrade or,
what people are doing is kind of dropping BMW motors in that thing.
Oh, I see.
And just roll caging it out and throwing like light carbon over it or something.
So it just kind of lightens it up and gives it a little extra speed going down.
You're taking the metal body off and you're put a roll cage and just
that sounds like a light car.
It'll go faster. Yeah.
And how do you think it looks in the movie? Like, especially the way that they use it.
Well, they call it the Vader, and that was created in this guy's garage.
Oh, wow.
And he made a whole company just doing that out of his garage.
And it was just specifically to make this for the movie? Or?
Yeah.
Wow.
They needed a car, and they looked at his concept idea, and they decided this is going to be the Joker's car.
Wow, that's fucking crazy. And what is the scene where it features prominently? It's that highway scene where Batman is chasing them, and then they
he's attached to the car, and then he like flips him in the river.
Yeah, and then he goes in there and he punches Harley Quinn in the fucking straight in the fucking nose.
Yes, there's not enough screen time for the car, I guess, either.
No, there wasn't. There wasn't enough time for it to shine either.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting when it was on screen.
It was like bright pink, right? No, it was like a shiny metallic-y pink.
Yeah,
something like
pink
that.
Purple thing. Right?
Yeah.
Once again, that weird neon coloring to the movie.
That well, almost.
There's one of those Infinities down the road over here.
Oh yeah,
and the guy knows what he has too. Some people change the back emblems. They take the Infinity stuff off, and they put Skyline GTR on the back, since it's the American version.
Right on. Now, the action sequences in this movie, how do you feel that they were actually shot? Like, I mean, do they look good enough? I mean, a lot of it seemed like a blur to me in so many ways.
It is. I mean, a lot of it's obscured. There's a lot of almost too many particles, but I do like where the characters at the end kind of like have this chain going on and they kind of work together cooperatively.
At the very end,
cool
there's a last move that they could do, which is the, Harley Quinn throwing her gun to Deadshot, and then Killer Croc throwing the bomb, but it being Joel Kinnaman's idea.
Yeah.
And then Deadshot shoots it, So it uses a little bit of everybody there.
But the way that a lot of this comes down to editing to me. The way that scene is edited, it just doesn't really flow well to me. And that's a problem with a lot of the action sequences in this movie. Is that, I mean, it just feels like there's just not enough there for it to really cut through and really like make me want to sit there at the edge of my seat and be like, oh, what's going to happen to Harley Quinn? Or, oh, what's going to happen to Diablo? or flag or whatever.
They did a really weird job of, having a mystical creature and a mystical magical thing, and you defeating it by using human means, non-magical. Like they just make a bomb underneath, the big guy, and they throw a detonated C4. What is it? Dynamite into the girl. It's weird.
Which doesn't make sense when it comes to the actual reason that this squad exists. I mean, isn't this supposed to take on like a metahuman like Superman or something?
Yeah, I think so.
How the fuck are these people going to do any damage to someone like Superman?
I will say that is a little questionable. It's kind of like why do you have basically
almost 90% of this team almost. I mean, maybe 89% of them are Batman villains.
Right. Well,
they only make sense fighting Batman.
Huh? What was that? I should kill everyone and escape? Sorry. The voices. I'm kidding. Jeez. That's not what they really said.
What do we got here? 12 pounds of shit in a 10-pound sack. Welcome to the party, Captain Boomerang.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Calm down.
Hey, 1 minute I'm playing mahjong with me now. Then this red streak hits me out of nowhere.
Shut up. You were caught robbing a diamond exchange.
Oh, boss, not.
Here comes Slipknot, the man who can climb anything. Wonderful.
Have a good time, scumbag.
Straight up.
She had a mouth.
Listen up. Your next injection you got. It's a nanite explosive. It's the size of a rice grain, but it's powerful as a hand grenade. You disobey me, you die. You try to escape, you die. You otherwise irritate or vex me, and guess what? You die.
I'm known to be quite vexing. I'm just forewarning you.
Ladies, shut up! This is the deal. You're going somewhere very bad to do something that'll get you killed. But until that happens, you're my problem.
So was that like a pep talk?
Yeah, that was pep talk. Here's your shit. Grab what you need for a fight. We're wheels up in 10.
You might want to work on your team motivation thing. You heard of Phil Jackson?
Yeah.
He's like the gold standard, okay? Triangle, bitch. Study.
The idea is give them weapons and the means to, you know what I mean? Deadshot, for instance, he doesn't miss his target. So if you give him the weapon that has kryptonite bullets in it, you know what I mean? Kryptonite bullets, things like that, give him the means
but
to.
When it comes to this movie, that's kind of neither here nor there, right? I mean, Superman's already dead and everything. Yep. And who's to say that the next metahuman will be taken down by kryptonite?
Doesn't have to be just kryptonite. I mean, you got to find its weakness.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that every villain has its weakness, especially in comic books.
I mean, they do take down Enchantress.
Yeah, and she has an obvious weakness, her heart.
Take the heart out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that wasn't even what they used to kill her in the end. Because they did, and it didn't work. Her brother healed her. Yeah. That was a weird plot line that they didn't use enough.
It was a little convenient.
They should have. Right. What should have happened is they should have, made the heart not actually damaged until the end, and that would have been part of the plot device. But then she still lives, afterwards, and then they kill her. They should have done that more towards the end. That was a weird.
Or they could have made it to where the only way that they can destroy the heart is to give it back to her.
True. Yeah.
That would have been a better way to go with that, I think.
But then they steal her actual heart, so that's just weird.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like she wasn't used well as a villain. I think that, like you guys said, it should have been. I mean, I don't want to say it should have been Batman because I don't know how well that would have worked, but they could have definitely gone with maybe somebody that wasn't a metahuman. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe somebody that was, but not like a fucking god.
Yeah, that's literally what Enchantress is. She's pretty much like a witch goddess thing.
Yeah. I mean, they even say they worshipped us as gods, and
Diablo, he actually has a god within him.
That was kind of strange, yeah. And then he's gone actually already. You know, they killed him off at the end.
Oh, that's right, they did, huh?
Yeah.
Damn. So, this movie had a very, let's say, interesting production behind it. I mean,
so I've heard.
Especially regarding Jared Leto's behavior as the Joker, because he's apparently a method actor. He does that sort of school of acting. So he would actually send weird little gifts to his co-hosts, or his co-stars, I should say, and it's stuff like, condoms and anal beads. And
Where's my fucking money, Batman? Talk about method acting.
Yeah, real method acting. It's like
Ding! We did our Room reference.
Didn't he?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, there we go. Our Room reference. Woo!
Wait, and Ash
Yeah.
talked about how terrible Master of Disguise was earlier. So,
And
dude,
this
That's
is
been referenced.
season
We don't have to
3,
quote it.
so-
It's okay.
okay.
Yeah, I thought we were
Yeah.
going to go
Fair
season 3 without all that stuff.
Yeah, season 3 is going swimmingly well so far.
Apparently, we're carrying all of the baggage of season 2 with us.
Yeah, apparently all that baggage.
Apparently it was a burning. Damn it.
Yeah. But I mean, do you think that level of method acting actually brought anything to the table as far as Leto's performance is concerned? Like,
If he
seems
was
like
utilized more, I think it could have been good. Because I appreciate what he put into the performance. I do, and I can see that. But I mean, he is no Heath Ledger.
no, not at all.
You're right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Heath Ledger could probably riff on the character just endlessly. But hey, nothing's better than Tommy Wiseau as the Joker.
Tommy Wiseau is the Joker.
What about Jack Nicholson?
Cesar Romero's the Joker, sorry.
Yeah, Tommy Wiseau's Joker is.
What about
the
Joaquin
open-
Phoenix? Is he even
There
the
you go,
Joker?
Joaquin
He's
Phoenix,
the new Joker
dude.
now.
Well, yeah, Joaquin Phoenix. So far, it sounds like he's really, really good.
That's pending. We got to go see that movie.
Yeah, we got to see that movie.
Compare. And apparently, Jared Leto is let down. He said he's alienated because.
Oh, boo-hoo. Don't make such an alienating performance.
Supposedly, I think he may show up for a cameo in Birds of Prey.
That would be interesting.
But I think it may only be archival footage.
Oh,
Just
okay.
like
Man.
there's some like leaks going around and stuff. And I think I saw that may be a possibility.
Yeah.
So he may be back in another Harley Quinn and Joker movie. I think they may be.
Well, I mean, he said that there was enough footage to make an entire Harley Quinn Joker movie anyway, so who knows? Maybe we'll see that. Now, this movie had reshoots, lots of reshoots, due to the negative reaction to the original director's cut of this movie. Because apparently this movie is kind of an amalgamation of two different cuts. It's David Ayer's director's cut and the Trailer House cut, which really, really is obvious throughout the movie. You can tell where the Trailer House took over, and
Yeah.
that's why some of these scenes don't really add up in the overall structure of the plot.
I think that's really what went wrong with this movie. This movie had promise, and I think it could have worked. I mean, obviously there are some decisions directorially and from a writer's writing perspective that are a little odd, but they
really-
may have worked better if the movie was cut better, and if it was.
Yeah, if it was edited a little differently, and he probably even had another 10 minutes taken off of its runtime, it probably would have worked.
I mean, I don't know if we need to cut time off. I mean, I'll go on record again saying I don't think that movies need to be shorter, but
I think that there's some movies. It really just depends on the screenplay and the script. If the script falters, a longer runtime is going to falter.
I mean, I think sometimes, more time can actually make the movie better. For instance, there just didn't seem to be enough of the characters.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because exposition was taking up so much of the movie, but I don't know. I feel like we could have gotten a little bit more, and if we'd gotten, an extra 10 minutes of just character interaction, that could have worked well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing. Is like if they would have just cut another one, at least one of those extra exposition dumps, they would have had enough time for that type of character development.
Again, look at the way the Guardians of the Galaxy movies are directed. Look at Infinity War. Look at Endgame. Look at how well each of the characters still get screen time mixed in with each other. The Suicide Squad should take notes, and I mean, we'll know that it will because James Gunn is directing it. So
Yeah, but who's going to edit it? That's the thing.
I think DC is starting to learn from its mistakes.
Yeah.
And they've really got an opportunity to capitalize on the success of superhero movies following Marvel Studios doing so well. They just need to produce good movies. Keep going with it. I mean, Aquaman and Shazam did pretty well. Wonder Woman did well. People are excited for some of the upcoming projects.
Yeah, like Wonder Woman 84 and Birds of Prey.
And then we've got
New Suicide Squad.
Matt Reeves' Batman with Robert Pattinson.
Oh,
coming up,
that's going to be very interesting. I want to see what Robert Pattinson does with the character.
which may or may not be part of the DCEU. We're not sure yet, but I think it is. I think Robert Pattinson is supposed to be a younger Ben Affleck, and that could be really fun. And I think it's supposed to kind of harken back to the characters like detective history. And there's a comic line that they're going to be that's inspired by. I can't remember what it was. I think it was The Long Halloween or something.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, critical reception to this movie was very, very negative.
It was poor.
It was piss poor. I mean,
But I want to say when it first came out, it was kind of almost divisive.
Right, it was.
Kind of like how
'cause
like
there
Man
a
of
lot
Steel
people-
was.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I mean, didn't it have like on Rotten Tomatoes have a higher audience score than the critic score?
I
But
believe
see,
so.
this is what happens, okay? And I talked to you about this. This is kind of one of the. It's just a product of the way, like like the social media and technology works in the
Yeah.
information era, which I'm not complaining about. I like our system, but one thing that happens, and this happened with It Chapter 2, is it goes from being an okay movie to a bad movie very, very quickly. If you get even a hint of, well, this movie could have been better, I think the next person has that in their mind, and then they watch the movie, and they're already set to expect less.
Yeah.
And sometimes the movie surprises you and it's actually good, but most of the time people take those preconceptions with them. And I do think it's kind of an issue. I think watch Suicide Squad with a clear mind. I mean, I did. When I first came out, I had no idea what to expect. And I enjoyed it. I actually had a fun time. And I think as long as it's entertaining to a degree of like you enjoyed yourself watching it, it succeeded at one thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that the critical reception was fair enough, honestly. I mean, because critics are meant to actually be more objective with their analysis of the movie.
I agree with that.
Critics,
You know?
yeah. Critics, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
kind of talking about like when people kind of take what critics say too seriously. And
Yeah.
If you're not a critic, I mean, you may enjoy a movie that objectively has some issues.
Well, I'd say that we're pretty much movie critics, and there's some movies that we all enjoy that are kind of shitty and not really looked well upon by other critics.
Freddy Got Fingered.
Freddy Got Fingered, exactly.
Freddy Got Fingered, yeah, exactly.
But see, again, Freddy Got Fingered is trying to be offensive, so it actually succeeded at what it intended to do.
Yeah, but it's also trying to tell a good story as
Yeah,
well.
it
you
is.
You could tell that it is, especially in context with its universe. I don't really feel like it gets there with Suicide Squad.
You know, outside, you're amazing. But inside, you're ugly.
We all are. We all are! Except for him. He's ugly on the outside, too.
Not me, shorty. I'm beautiful.
Yeah, you are. We don't want you here.
Get to the part in that binder saying I was sleeping with her.
Yeah. I never been with a witch before. What's that like? Apparently that's why the creatures chase him all the time, because the witch is scared of him.
The only woman I ever cared about is trapped inside that monster. If I don't stop the witch, it's over. Everything is over. Everything. You're free to go. Your daughter writes you every day. Every single day.
You had these the whole time. You had letters from my daughter the whole time. I'm gonna get you there. And you're gonna end this. I'm gonna carry your ass if I have to.
But anyway, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up with our final thoughts. We're going to go ahead and start with Dakota.
I enjoyed the movie as a whole, like Ash had previously mentioned. You know, it was fun. It was campy. I understand the complaints a lot that Beau has. Some things I disagree with, but I understand it was weird. It was weird. There was a lot of weird things they did that shouldn't have been there. You know.
Yeah.
And I will admit to that. There's a lot of things they could have done better. But overall, I mean, I know this is not one of the movies where we give it like a score, but I would definitely give it like a 2.5 for me. You know what I mean? Because it wouldn't quite hit that average score, because it's really not there, but it's like I said, it was.
Let's not actually score this movie because I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a 0.5.
Yeah, I know you will.
0.5 out of 5 stars, just off the bat, just
a half a star,
just for general principle. Just on principle, I would give it that. But Robert, what are your thoughts on the movie?
You know, the trailer and the build-up when it came out, I thought it was going to be better than it really was. I kind of like the build-up and the characters better than the ending.
You're right.
You know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as far as that, I was waiting for that car for like 2 years to come out.
Yeah, you just wanted to talk about the car.
Well, yeah, sorry.
You just wanted to see the car. That's all you wanted to see.
That's all that matters.
I mean,
Hey,
Robert,
it's fine. It's fine.
Do you
can be
shit
cool.
over Nissan Skylines? No. Nobody does. Nobody does. Sorry.
Oh, my God. All right, Ash, final thoughts.
this movie had a lot of promise, and I guess part of me is hopeful, and I sympathize with it because I want to like it, and I want to see the potential in it, and I really think that James Gunn may be the guy to deliver on that. I think, you know, with the right team, the right director, the right editing. I mean, already, you know, for The Suicide Squad coming out in 2021, we've got a good cast, ensemble cast. I mean,
Should we
got
go to the movies and see that?
Definitely.
I think we should.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Margot Robbie returning, but you've also got Idris Elba, John Cena, Jay Courtney's coming back, Joel Kinnaman's coming back, Nathan Fillion.
Nice.
James Gunn bringing with him Michael Rooker, Taika Waititi, and Sean Gunn.
Fuck yeah, Michael Rooker. Just the other day, I went ahead and sat down and watched Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Michael Rooker is amazing in that fucking movie.
He's Mary Poppins, y'all.
Fuck yeah. And he was also amazing in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm referencing,
Yeah.
is that, you know,
He's
James
amazing.
Gunn is taking some people he's worked with him, and this is DC's version of the Suicide Squad, or maybe Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is the version of Suicide Squad. I don't know what came first.
Yeah.
The chicken or the egg, right? Viola Davis is coming back, and I think that could work out well.
She was okay as Amanda Weller, but I mean, I found her character leaving a lot to be desired.
I'm really excited to see Peter Capaldi. I'm a huge fan of Doctor Who, so Peter Capaldi actually hits home for me, and I'm interested to see where he comes in the performance.
Nice.
You mentioned Sean Gunn. That's James Gunn's little brother.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And he does the motion capture performances for Groot and Rocket, and he also has a role in the Guardians. He's basically like the second in command.
The second-hand guy to Rooker.
Oh,
Michael
okay.
Rooker.
Okay.
Yeah.
To, what's his face? Michael Rooker's character.
I can't remember his name.
You know, Yondu.
So he's pretty much the new Clint Howard?
I mean, you've also got
yeah.
Pete Davidson, Storm Reed, and David Desmalchian.
You mentioned Taika Waititi, right?
Taika Waititi, yeah. Basically
Fuck
coming
yeah.
with James Gunn. I mean, he wasn't in the Guardians movies, but he was in Thor Ragnarok and Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
And also, you know, he directed Thor Ragnarok. So that's really interesting to see Waititi come in. I mean, he's definitely a fun character. I mean, you kind of bring Corgan, you know.
Yeah.
So, but final thoughts on Suicide Squad, this movie. I mean, I just wanted to kind of, I'm hyped up about the Suicide Squad. Like I said, it's not a perfect movie. It's maybe not even a good movie, but I like it. It's a guilty pleasure. I find myself enjoying it, and I wouldn't knock it. I wouldn't tell anybody, like, don't watch this. I would say, if this is something you're into, go ahead and watch it. I mean, maybe it's not for everyone, and come at it with an open mind.
Right on. And that's fair enough. But my final thoughts are...
We know your final thoughts, Beau.
Oh, yeah.
We heard your final thoughts.
This
for
is
the whole entire thing.
This is a fundamentally unstructured movie. The acting is all over the place. The directing is just not there. The editing hampers any type of dialogue. It hampers any type of flow to the story. Like, the characters are okay at best to me. I like the talent in the casting, you know, but, you know, once again, the editing and the directing, the script and the screenplay, it all just works against that.
See, exactly. We want to see where James Gunn takes this.
Exactly. And James Gunn will actually know how to use a musical score. He will actually know how to do that correctly, like he did in Guardians of the Galaxy. So...
And
yeah.
take maybe some more obscure songs, you know?
Yeah, obscure songs, not shit that's on the fucking nose, like playing Black Sabbath Paranoid or AC/DC Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap.
But come on, it's fun when you do see it.
That's all Tony Hawk 4. You're just missing.
Yeah, no, that makes me want to punch myself in the head repeatedly.
How many times I heard those same songs on Tony Hawk 4?
But that's my final thoughts on this movie. I want to punch myself in the head repeatedly watching it.
We shouldn't let you talk, Beau, honestly.
God damn it.
We're going to take over the podcast now.
Yep.
On
my
that
God.
note, Collateral Gaming is coming back for Season 2. We're starting again next week. Dakota and I are going to be talking about Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection. We're also going to be... we're going to be talking about Uncharted. After that, Red Dead Redemption 2, and the rest of Season 2 is unfolding. We don't want to lay all of our cards out on the table yet.
Of course
but we're
not.
super excited to be back. Got a brand new studio. We're setting up, we've got our new logos and everything. So are we running new intro songs?
I don't think so. I've actually kind of grown to like our intro.
You know what? I liked our first intro better, Beau.
You think so?
Yeah, it was more movie. The current one's kind of more, it's kind of generic.
You think so?
It doesn't really remind me of movies. I think we ought to get something new.
You think so?
You guys will find out.
You know what? How about this? Ladies and gentlemen, we'll let you decide. We'll go ahead and put up a Twitter poll.
But what are you going to put on this episode?
What do you mean we're going to put on this episode?
This episode's going to have an intro.
It'll be the same intro.
Boo.
Oh, whatever. We'll go ahead and let our followers on Twitter determine this. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Should we change to a different theme song, or should we keep the one that we have? Or do you like the old one better?
Should we try to change it like every season?
That's what we're going to do.
But I mean, it just sounded like a lot of work. A lot of work, guys.
Well,
I mean,
if you want a good
Jesus
product, you got to put a
Christ.
lot of work into it.
Yeah, I know. And honestly,
Just find a license-free beat online and slap it on there.
yeah, I have plenty of those, dude.
There you go. So let's just go with a new one.
I think that it'd be more fun to see if our Twitter followers determine it.
Yeah.
Let's leave it up to chance, dude. Come on, man. Or should we just flip a coin?
Flip a coin.
Flip a coin? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to do this now. We're going to flip a fucking coin.
All right, and that's going to take a wrap on Collateral Cinema for today.
Yeah, okay.
You can find us on Podbean. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we may as well just go ahead and wrap it up. You can find us on Apple Podcast. You can find us on Chill Lover Radio. We are on Spotify. We're on iHeartRadio. And we are wherever you get your podcasts. We're on those apps as well. Thanks to Chill Lover Radio. Thank you, Chill. Definitely. And we also have a Patreon and a Podbean patron page. We are looking for people to help support the show. We are growing every season. We have a new studio, and we do need better equipment and everything. And, we would like to maybe make a little bit of a living off of this. So
we have Patreon commentaries out now, guys.
Yes, we have exclusive commentaries.
Thanks to who?
Thanks to Ash. Thank you very much, Ash. So find us on patreon.com/ccinema podcast. And also you can become a patron on our Podbean patron page through the Podbean app. I mean, unfortunately, Podcoin is no more. Womp womp.
R.I.P. Podcoin.
Rest in peace, Podcoin.
Rest in peace. But you can find us both on Podchaser. Collateral Gaming can be found in all of those avenues as well. Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, the whole
9 yards.
Chill Lover Radio.
YouTube, all that stuff.
I said YouTube, dimwit.
Oh my God! Am I being called a dimwit on the show? What the hell? That's the note that we're ending on. Well, all right. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Beau Maddox.
I'm Robert Oregon.
I'm Ashley Chancellor.
I'm Dakota Chancellor.
And Collateral Cinema is out. And welcome to Season 3, everybody. It's going to be a fun ride.
Fuck yeah, Season 3, let's go!
Yep.
Yeah. Fuck bitches and get money.
Devoted to destruction, a full dosage of detrimental dysfunction. I'm dying slow, but the devil trying to rush me. See, I'm a fool for pain. I'm a dummy, might cut my head off right after I slit my throat. Tongue kiss a shark, got jealous bitches up in the boat, eating peanut butter and jellyfishes on toast. And if I get stung, I get stoked. Might choke like I chewed a chunk of charcoal. Naked in the North Pole, that's why my heart cold, full of sorrow. A lost soul, and only Lord knows when I'm coming to the crossroads. So I don't fear shit but tomorrow. And I'm a sucker for pain. It ain't nothing but pain. You just fucking complain. You ain't tough as you claim. Just stay up in your lane. Just don't fuck with Lil Wayne. I'ma jump from my plane or stand in front of a train, cause I'm a sucker for pain. Used to doing bad, now we feel like we just now getting there. Ain't got no other way, so we started and finished it. No pain, no gain. Never stand down, made our own way. Never going slow, we pick up the pace. This is what we wanted from a young age. No emotion, that's what business is. Lord have mercy on the witnesses. Take my hand through the flame. I told you, I'm just a sucker for pain. More pain, got me begging, 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 begging. For more pain, got me begging, 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 begging. For more pain, got me begging, begging.
Collateral Cinema is an L Company production. All music and movie clips are owned by the respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.